Welcome to the Live Life Well podcast for busy women with me, Joanne Bibby. I hope this is a place where you'll find encouragement, inspiration and community to live life well, body, mind and soul. So hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Live Life Well podcast with myself, Joanne Bibby. And I just really hope that this is a place for you to find community and inspiration to really look after yourself, body, mind and soul as a busy woman. And I could not be more delighted to welcome tonight's guest. I'm so excited to welcome and introduce my friend and coach, Steph Slater from Healed Healthy Whole. Even it's a bit of a mouthful, Steph, isn't it? Steph has been, it's a great name though. Steph has actually been coaching me for about the last 6 or 7 months and has helped me through some really big life decisions and crossroads. And it's just been amazing to have Steph guide me on the journey that I'm on. And I just love your heart, Steph. And I'm so excited to hear what you've got to share. So do you want to introduce yourself to us?
Sure, and it's been a pleasure for me as well, Jo, and it's been great to get to know you really well. And I love what Live Life Well is all about. But yeah, I'm Steph. I'm a coach. I've been coaching for the last almost 2 years now, which is incredible. And I'm really passionate about coaching and mentoring women in their life, in their leadership, in their business, to really live life well, to live lives that are thriving and flourishing, and living life to the full. So we've got some real synergy.
Yes, definitely. I think we've got a lot of similar passions and that real heart just to see women especially released to live life to the full and to take off anything that would hold them back. So tonight I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about a really pressing topic. I think this is a podcast, as I said, for busy women, but that is not a title I've chosen to glorify busyness. I think it's more just an acknowledgement of the fact that most of us women live pretty hectic, busy lives with lots of demands on us. So today we're going to be looking at the topic of rest. And Steph, why do you think that's something that is important and something that we need to take a look at?
Sure. Well, I actually discovered the benefits of rest through my own experience of burnout. So 6 years ago, I completely burnt out. I was overwhelmed, overburdened, over-functioning, overworking, just all the overs. And I was done in. And it was that experience that really, I was like, something's got to change. And that's when I discovered, I actually heard this phrase that you work from rest rather than work to rest. And I was really intrigued by this phrase and wanted to discover what that was about. What did it mean to work from rest? And rest was quite alien to me. When I discovered what rest really was, I was like, all the things I thought were restful weren't restful, and actually learning how to slow down, and how to pause often, how to actually, what to do, what do you do, how do you rest, what does it actually look like? I just had to discover it for myself, and that's what really has got me passionate about helping other women discover it, because I felt like I'm a mature, educated person. Surely I should know something as simple as rest. And yet I didn't. And it's this wrestle that lots of women seem to struggle with. I just really want to help people discover what it's about.
Amazing. And I'm sure that can make such a massive difference. I know myself is something that I've really had to wrestle with over the years, just realizing that I wasn't really taking rest and how important it was if I wanted to actually make a difference and do the things I want to do. Then I actually had to slow down to go faster, which is quite a weird concept. So how have you gone about implementing that in your life? I'm sure there's people listening thinking, oh, that sounds like a nice idea, but I'm just too busy. So how have you carved out that space and time in your life?
Yeah, well, it started really in my mind. Like a lot of things, it's all about how you think. How we think, what we believe really informs the way that we behave. So I really had to transform the way that I thought about rest. And it was so interesting in preparation for this podcast, I put out on social media the question, what thoughts or beliefs prevent you from truly resting? And it was so interesting to hear the comments back. Things like rest is unproductive, or I don't deserve to rest, or I can't rest until I've done X, Y, Z, or rest is self-indulgent. So many different things that we think about rest prevent us from entering it. And that was true for me. I felt like being rested was lazy. I felt like there were certain things I had to do to qualify for it or deserve it. And like I said earlier, I didn't really know what it was. The things that I thought I was doing to rest weren't really restful. Weren't what really replenished me personally, because we're all very, very different. We're all different in what we need. For one person, being really active on a day of rest, being able to use their body, maybe physically doing sport, something like that, can be really replenishing. And for other people, they need to literally be still, be in silence, and that's more me. Is being in stillness and in silence and solitude. That is what replenishes and recharges me. And so, yeah, just really getting to know, that's probably the first thing, was working out what are the thoughts, where is my mindset off, in terms of what I think about rest, what do I need to believe instead, that's actually true and helps me enter into it with peace and without anxiety or guilt. And then actually discovering, how do I rest? What is it that I'm designed to enjoy, and what recharges me personally? That's kind of been the beginning of my journey, and it's been an amazing discovery. And I still find that there's mindsets that come up. So an example was last year. So this has been my journey for like the last 6 years, but last year I was unwell, completely unexpected, got unwell, was off work for 3 months, which I've never, ever done ever before. And for anyone who's listening, who's experienced kind of the unexpected, the unwelcome, the uninvited things of life that enforce you to stop, a whole host of things come up in your mind, in your heart, about what that means. Like suddenly not being able to do things, not physically able to, not even just choosing not to. It's like, I can't do it. Actually, it really challenges our identity that we're getting from the things that we do, and the way that we express ourselves. So yeah, it's been a real journey, and yeah, I'm still rewiring my my mind in the way of rest. But yeah, I've come a long way, and I'm loving the journey.
So it sounds like, as with a lot of things, it starts in our mind, isn't it? Identifying our thoughts around something. And also, I love what you said about working out what rest means to you, because that's different for everyone, isn't it? I heard something about, if you've got an active job, you should rest in stillness. And if you've got quite a sedentary job, you should rest in movement. But I think it's more than that. It's like what you're saying, it's like finding out what fills up your cup, isn't it? And that's different for everyone. And I just think it's something we've really got a battle for, isn't it? I heard a quote saying like, healthy habits or healthy rhythms are an act of warfare, and it's almost like we have to go to war against society, like the nature of the world we live in, of the busyness, of the multiple ways you can be in demand and people can contact you. It's like just carving out, and it takes a real decision, doesn't it? It's a real battle to claim that rest back in your life. I love that you asked your followers on social media what rest sort of means to them, and I saw that you also asked them what were their barriers to rest. So what sort of things are people saying about that? What sort of holds people back from allowing themselves to rest, do you think?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of what you've said already. The demands on us, the things that we feel we have to do, that seem to get in the way. And actually, I remember when I was in burnout and people telling me that I needed to stop, but it was like the most frustrating thing to hear. It's like, don't you think I would if I could? It's almost like, take some of these things off my plate and then maybe I could rest. And so I get that if anyone's listening that is like, I'm really stressed and I'm really like, I have to do all of these things. There's so many demands on me that I can't possibly just drop them all. I can't stop. I get what that feels like. But again, I would challenge that as a mindset. And also like actually it's learning what is ours to carry. I carried a lot of false responsibility. I felt responsible for things that actually weren't mine to carry, and I wasn't very good at delegating. I wasn't very good at saying no. I wasn't good about having boundaries really at all. And I felt like every request was a have to rather than a choice. And so there's lots of things that we can learn that can really help us to stem the flow, if you like, of all those demands. But yeah, so the demands was a core thing. That really interestingly, someone said that they felt like if they didn't have several hours, then it wasn't worth it. So it's almost like if they couldn't take the amount of time that it felt like was reasonable or was necessary, that actually it wasn't worth doing at all, which I found really interesting as a way of thinking. And actually it can be really hard to discover how to rest and if you only have those 5-10 minutes in the day. How do I take a break and not use it, not fill time? And I think that's certainly something I've seen in a lot of my coaching clients that have this sort of struggle, is that there's this feeling of needing to fill every hour and minute of the day, rather than you take the opportunities to leave the desk or leave the phone or leave the children or indeed get someone else to cook the dinner, and all those sorts of things that we feel responsible for. Responsibility, I think, is a core motivator for people. Don't know about you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think that's something I'm working on, thinking that I was responsible for everything and everyone else, but then realizing that I was no good for everyone else if I wasn't resting and looking after myself. And I think it must be something that so many people listening will struggle with as women and mothers, just that feeling of that weight of the plate spinning. And so many people will have experienced that burnout that you talked about, or feeling like they're coming close to that and just like hitting the wall. So I'd love to hear like some practical tips for how we can combat the busyness of life and find rest in the day to day. I know as part of our faith, we believe in this concept of Sabbath. So I don't know if that's something you want to talk about. And I think that doesn't just apply to people with faith. I think it's a principle that can be really helpful. But like I say, it's not always about taking like a whole day out, although that can be great. But it's about finding those moments, isn't it? So like, how do we go about, I guess it's about valuing ourselves, isn't it? Knowing that we're worthy of taking care of and having moments of rest, and maybe something about sort of defining our values so we know what to say yes and no to. But yeah, I'd love to just hear more about what you've discovered and when you've been helping clients with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're absolutely great points, Joe. You've been learning well. um, but yeah, I mean, I would say it starts with what you think. Something I was really challenged in my time of being unwell was to redefine slow. So redefining what it means to slow down, seeing that as a positive thing. Same with rest, seeing it as something positive that is actually going to make you more productive. So finding out, getting really beneath the surface of what is it you think about rest that's actually stopping you, asking yourself that question. What thoughts or beliefs are stopping me from truly resting? And then tackling those beliefs, doing something with them, get a coach to work them through, but actually spin them on their head so that you've got a real positive phrase to speak over yourself when you're feeling the need to rest, but you're feeling like you can't. So something that I adopted was that what was it? It was that phrase at the beginning that I will work from rest. I don't work to rest. And so when I was struggling with thinking I've got to just do X, Y, Z before I can finish, or before I can take a break, is actually I'm choosing to work from rest. And so I need to get that 5 minutes, that 10 minutes, that half an hour. And actually prioritize it. And then, as you said, values, just what are your values? Are you giving your most important people and things the most amount of your time? And that includes yourself. So we often leave ourselves off the list of important people, and actually we're the most important person, because without us, everybody else can't get what they need. And so really got to look after ourselves, and it's not self-indulgent. You are worth it. And actually it will make you more productive. It will make you a nicer person. You'll be more fun to be around because you're rested. And so, yeah, how do we do that? I would just look at your day and just identify the opportunities within a day. Where are those 5-minute opportunities? For example, we all have them. We go to the loo, we brush our teeth, we boil the kettle. There's loads of 5-minute things. Yes, we're doing something else, but actually, if we get our brains wired to think, every time I go to the toilet, I'm just going to spend a bit of time emptying my mind as I wash my hands, or I'm going to stand at the kettle and I'm just going to take a few deep breaths, and just like pause and just take note of how I'm feeling in this moment. I'm going to choose to leave my desk at a set time at lunchtime, and I'm going to walk away. I'm not going to work through lunch or eat my sandwich at my desk. Whatever the things are that are little opportunities, I would look for the little 5-10 minute opportunities. Start there, start small, because if we try and like reorganize our entire lives around trying to take big chunks of rest, then we'll find it harder to achieve. If we start with the small opportunities, it'll just be a lot easier, and you'll get that hit, that dopamine hit, that of having achieved it, and actually beginning to notice that we're going at a slower pace. And again, that other thing of going slower is choosing to walk slow, choosing the longer queue, not getting frustrated if we're in traffic, actually thinking, thank you for this opportunity, universe or God or whoever you kind of recognize as providing that opportunity. I've got this opportunity to go a bit slower and just like embrace slow. It's far easier to talk about when you've learned it than it is to do it if you're completely new and it's an alien concept. It's start in the small, start with the opportunities that are already there, rather than trying to carve out time that doesn't seem to exist. Start with the time you have, and build from there. And then I would work towards a rhythm of doing that, looking at your day. Where in a day can I take rest, and where in a week can I take rest? And then within a month, where can I take a longer chunk of time? Lots of women that I've coached have chosen to take one day a month. For them, they stick it in their diary, they talk to their partners, organize things with the children or whatever, so that they can get a whole day away for themselves. And then obviously seasonally, you can look at maybe extended times. But yeah, again, this is like something to build on. Start with every day, build on from there to have a day a week, and find out what it is that you find recharges you. Try some different things. If you don't achieve it, like I've had so many times where I've practiced having this Sabbath that you spoke about, and halfway through the day I'm like, this isn't working. Why did I think that doing XYZ was actually going to be restful when it isn't? So instead of getting frustrated and feeling like, oh, I can't do it, just notice what you've noticed and make changes. Do it differently next time until you've found what really replenishes you. I found walking is like really helps me connect, especially in nature, really helps me connect with my soul, with my, like, I find I can release things from my brain. I can like really kind of deal with some stuff that comes up in my heart. Like, it's really amazing what a walk can do. But I wouldn't have discovered that without trying it. But lots of other people I've coached have found other ways that really, really suit them. So yeah, get to know yourself, get to know what helps you.
Yeah, that's so good. That's all so good. And yeah, I think it's so important to be talked about. And I got this picture, like, I feel like most of us, a lot of us are like running life as a sprint, but then we're having to stop and start all the time because we're getting out of breath. But if we just take it down a gear, slow down, we'll just keep going at that steady pace without burning out or tiring out, won't we? And we'll enjoy the journey a lot more. And yeah, I love walking too. That's what keeps me sane. I'm rubbish at sitting still, and that's okay. I've learned to accept that. Some people that's great for, but I think walking's a really happy medium that suits most people, isn't it? It's like you're doing enough to keep your mind occupied to a level, but it's giving you that space to think and process, isn't it? And I'm going to ask you a minute any good resources you've got about this topic. I know you've got a few, but you've recommended a few books to me that I've loved that have encouraged me to slow down and to take that day a week. And I know that could be a lot for some people listening, to take a whole day of rest, but I found it life changing to have. I pick a Sunday because it's the day we're least busy, and I just give myself full permission to not have any to-do list on that day. And I find it makes me so much better the rest of the week. Such a much better mum, wife, employee, businesswoman. It allows me to be more creative. I think if you're just going all the time, you're not giving yourself permission to let yourself off the hook and just be. You stop creating. You're just in the doing, aren't you? So for me, that's been a massive game changer. I'm not perfect at it. I don't hold it up as some sort of standard I have to perfect, but it's more just allowing myself and giving myself that permission. I think that's so important, like you said, to give yourself those times. And I love what you said about having a day a month. I need to do that. I keep meaning to. Me and my husband keep saying that we'll give each other a day, but then you feel guilty about it, don't you? Like, oh, I'll just spend it with my family, but then you start resenting them because you don't get any time to yourself. So I think we should all booking a day for ourselves or go to a retreat. Steph runs amazing retreats that are just selling out like hotcakes, so you have to grab them fast. Do you have any good resources or books that have helped you in this area?
Yeah, there's a couple of really good books that I'd recommend. There's probably more, but I wasn't prepared for this question, Jo, so I haven't got them to mind. But yeah, one is called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. And that is an awesome book, all about how to embrace the slower pace of life, how to embrace silence, solitude, which might make some people go, eek. But actually, there's so much to learn in the quiet. And like you've just said about letting the creativity rise to the surface, which is when you create space, there's just that sense of permission to breathe and to dream. And so many of us have had our dreams squashed just because we just haven't got that space to let our minds wander and our hearts to kind of become awake to what we might hope for. So yeah, Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. And then I've forgotten the author, but there's a book called Redeem Your Time. Is it Jordan something? I'm really sorry, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Jordan Rayner, is it?
Jordan Rayner, that's it. Yeah, that's an excellent book as well, particularly if time management is a struggle for you. And often that is the reason why we don't rest, because we can't see that we can carve out that time. There's just some really amazing principles in there, really great for the mindset stuff, but also really practical. Yeah, real recommended read. So they're two really good books.
I was hoping you'd say those two.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, they're great. And the John Mark Comer ones are just amazing. They've helped me so much. I'm listening to another one of his just now, and he talks about how much of a privilege it is that we get to choose to rest as a first world country, as people with a lot of privilege. Like, well, people don't have the choice to choose to rest and dream and create. Like, we have that privilege, so we need to use it. And also, I just really hope that if you're listening to this, you're hearing that you're just worthy. You're worthy of rest. You're worthy of taking care of. You're worthy of living life to the full and feeling recharged and rested, and just be encouraged, because I think me and you, Steph, were both quite driven, high achiever by personality type. So this hasn't been easy for us, has it? Like, I'm the sort of person that finds it so hard to stop and slow down and rest, but we're getting there. It's a journey, like you say, and it's about just being gentle on yourself. It's not another thing to beat yourself up about, oh, I'm not resting enough, something else I've got to fit into my calendar. It's like Steph was saying, it's learning to live from that place of rest, which is a complete mindset shift, but one worth pursuing, I would say. So Steph, that's all been amazing, but if people would love to chat more with you about this or find out more about your coaching, I think this is a sort of thing that if you really struggle with, it's really helpful to have someone else to journey with. And that's what I find so helpful about my time with you, Steph, just talking things through and having that bit of accountability. So where can we find you and stay in touch?
Oh, well, you can check out my website, healedhealthyWhole.co.uk. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook. Again, Healed Healthy Whole. I know it's a bit of a mouthful. It looks better in words than it does when it's coming out your mouth. Um, but the reason for that name is it is what it says on the tin. It's about you being healed, healthy, and whole. And I think that's why rest is such a big topic for me and for my clients, because it's the lifeblood really of becoming healed and healthy and whole. So yeah, so find me on either website, Instagram, or Facebook. Or if you know Joe, you can contact Joe and get my details.
Yeah, and it's definitely worth following, Steph. I love your Instagram. It gives me daily inspiration and tips to help me feel healthy and whole. So, oh, I love you, Steph. I love speaking to you. I love hearing your heart. So thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. I hope you all take something away from this conversation. And I'm sure Steph will be back again soon on the podcast. There's so much more I could talk to you about. But just for fun and just to finish off, Steph, I'd love to hear, if it was your very last meal on earth, what would you choose to eat?
Well, I'm going to cheat. I hope it's okay. But I was giving this some thought and I was like, I don't know what I would choose. So then I thought I would go for a world buffet where I got to get a taste of every nation's dish. As if it was my last meal, I'd like to know that I've tried a little bit of something from each culture. So I love food, but I couldn't pick one. I was like, steak and chips, maybe, but would that be my last meal? I'd love to have tasted a bit of Japanese, a bit of Chinese, a bit of Indian, a bit of Moroccan, a bit of Mexican, but also a bit of humble apple pie.
Yes.
So yeah, a bit of everything. If I could fit it in.
I'm sure you would. It's a really hard question, isn't it? It's hard to choose this one thing. There's so many good things to choose from. So a good world buffet, that'd be your
In my
happy
life.
place.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much, Steph. It's been a joy as always. And you've encouraged us all just to slow down a bit and take care of ourselves and find that place of rest to live from. So thank you so much. And thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back soon. Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you've had some inspiration to look after yourself, body, mind, and soul, and feel as well as you deserve to do. Please remember to subscribe and share this podcast if it's been helpful for you. And I'll see you again soon with another episode and some more amazing guests. Take care.